All right, look, as you all know, I know this is going to upset all of you, but again, this is close to my heart because I care about this. Nuisance streamers. I know everyone. Shh. I know. I know this isn't our normal stuff, but for me, this is a personal story because I know people. I've actually built some relationships with people overseas. I've had family members and friends who live overseas, and these nuisance streamers now are causing a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, and it's going to have long-term consequences. So let's say all of you want to go on a tourist visa, or either that, let's say some of you might have the opportunity and privilege to be a content creator or do video work or something of that nature overseas. Well, you better have your paperwork correct and ready and have the correct passport and visas ready to do that kind of stuff. But right now, there's been a major update. Deportation for Russian vlogger, not American vlogger, Russian vlogger Vitaly. So what's going on with Vitaly? So as you all know, a while back, I interviewed Eric Cabrera, who called out Vitaly and stood up against him. Please, everyone, check out that interview. He's a really good person, and he's one of the dauntless few in my book that is actually standing up to these nuisance streamers and set the bar high on what it means to stop these scumbags, these criminal nuisance streamers, from doing the pain. So what does this mean? Deportation not available for Russian blogger Vitaly. Well, Vitaly's not a U.S. citizen. He's from Russia, and that means he has to deal with Putin. Now, listen, Vitaly is original YouTube OG. He's done a lot of it's a prank bro kind of stuff. Do you think Putin wants to risk any ounce of his credibility or Russia's credibility on a clown and a guy instigating and causing pain and suffering and hurt and embarrassment to the people he embarrassed on his account when he was going live that was filled by Sly Kane, you know? So what's happening here? Well, Vitaly, arrested in April for harassing Filipinos for content, will serve his sentence in a Philippine prison if convicted. Local government officials have said in a release. The Department of Interior for local government said Vitaly will be facing a trial next week for 3 counts of unjust vexation. Now, here's the situation. This was Vitaly, all happy and prideful. He probably might have thought that he would have been treated the same like when he's been arrested either in Egypt or Dubai or even somewhere in Europe. By the way, Egypt and Dubai, 2 places I wouldn't want to mess around with. But hey, he got lucky, but the Philippines don't play that kind of game. Now, it has been reported on, thanks to the work of people like Legal Mindset, Atozi, and a few others, that Vitaly was probably on something. And also, yes, there's a 100% guarantee, possibly, in my opinion, again, but other people have been stating it too, that he was on some sort of juicer. Now, since April and May has passed, he has suffered from mental health issues, and his body is clearly suffering from withdrawal from all the supplements and other toxicities that he was taking into his body. So the Vitaly you see here will probably not be the Vitaly that you see within a week. It will be disturbing to watch. However, he did this to himself. Now, again, we will serve his sentence. Again, Romola explained that the arrested vlogger cannot be deported to either Russia, his home country, or the United States, where he is a green card holder. The U.S. Embassy and Russian Embassy are not going to save the day. Trump doesn't care. And listen, hey, folks, let's have democracy in the chat. You think Putin cares? Type 1 for yes, kid. Putin does care. He's got a big old heart full of warmth and love. I type 2, Jesus Christ, kid. You think Putin cares about this? No. Probably Putin's encouraging the Philippines to keep him in there longer. I wonder how many 2s will show up in the chat. I wonder. Do you ever wonder? I wonder. I wonder a lot. And I do mean a lot. So let's go on. Let's continue. Romola added that Vitaly had written to him pleading for the charges to be dropped, citing mental health issues. Now, I have a video from Legal Mindset. I will be playing at least a good portion of it because when it comes down to mental health issues, look, I get it. Truly, I do. Look, no one's perfect, no one is, but these nuisance streamers, if they are going to be relying on I was crazy. Oh, I'm sorry I destroyed a 1,000-year-old shrine. Oh, I'm sorry I disrespected a statue that was honoring women who were pressed into sex service. Oh, I'm sorry I was harassing a senior citizen. Oh, I'm sorry I took a gun from a cop because I'm just crazy. I'm a streamer on YouTube or Twitch or Kick. I'm sorry I didn't take my meds. That'll be setting such a dangerous precedent. All right. Now, look, does Vitali have issues? Oh, yeah. But the thing is, there's these cheap clone copies of these nuisance streamers, who are trying to, I thought somebody was messaging me right now, who are trying to cause all this pain, heartache, and suffering. Now, if they're allowed to do this, that means more of these criminal streamers can do this then. And you know what? The consequence is that if you screw around in another person's country, then you have to suffer the consequences. Now, when I have traveled overseas to Japan when I was a kid in 1998, and then when I did so in 2020, just before the world went crazy, I knew, and thanks to the values that my family put in me, is that when you go to another country, you respect their laws, their culture, and just overall be a nice guy. That's it. So if I ever want to visit Thailand or the Philippines, guess what I'm going to do? Or South Korea, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to call up the people I know, be like, hey, man, are there things that I cannot do? Like what are the big, oh, no, that might seem like innocent in America, but don't you do that here. You know, that's a thing you do. And let's say I wanted to do some live stream work. Let's say I want to do that. Hey, I need to call up the people to get the proper paperwork, or otherwise I could face some steep financial or legal fines or jail time. That's the issue. And so all this stuff of, oh, he's crazy, he's crazy, he's crazy. No, drop the hammer. So I want to play this video here from Legal Mindset. He is one of the dauntless few. And again, 10 out of 10. Please subscribe to his channel. He's doing fantastic work.
We have them to the day, to the best of my understanding as a humble American attorney. Now, what do we have that's unclear? We've got a lot of false information about Vitali that needs to be cleared up and a lot of stuff that's unknown. First of all, we actually don't know the legal procedure and exactly how long this is going to take. So initially, we reported that the average time in the Filipino court system is 2 to 3 years for processing regular cases, but we don't know whether or not his case might be expedited or maybe it might be brought down a path where it could be adjudicated quicker. So we don't know how long it would be before he goes to trial. And we also don't know the particular judge, all of the prosecutors, etc. A lot of those court details, which are really pertinent when we try to cover cases as we cover them in the United States and in other jurisdictions, such as we cover the Johnny Somali, Ramsey Khalid Ismail case in South Korea. We should get that information next week, though, as the trial or the first step, which is the filing of the information, is scheduled for next week. We'll get into that. We also don't know exactly about the attendance and whether or not people can attend and what the conditions are. There's been some kind of conflicting information on that. There's a possibility of attendance. The other thing we don't know is we don't know his real physical or mental symptoms. We do know that he did try to get out based on a mental health defense. I covered this on my last video, my last Fast Facts video, which covered the fact that Vitali brought up a mental health defense, which was really laughed at by the undersecretary and has now been officially rejected. They've rejected that plea to allow him to go under a mental health defense. So that's been.
I have to see Mastermind on this one. Go crazy. Don't mind if I do. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Okay, we're not going to do that. But look at all of this. Okay, look. Yeah, okay, so I've spoken to a few people who are more attuned to what's happening in the Philippines. Yes, that's right. No matter all the stuff that I have to work with, yes, I still do my job as a commentator, as a someone who covers newsworthy events, both online and in the real world. You know, Vitali reaching out, trying to apologize. Okay, fine. I get it. You're apologizing, but look, here's the thing. When Vitali did his infamous live streams, he did so during a Filipino election. The president of the Philippines did a YouTube reaction video. I'm going to say that again. The president of the Philippines did a YouTube, hold on, you know, here. We're gonna do this. I wish I had the graphics, you know. Did a YouTube reaction video. A sitting president did that, commenting on the clownish criminal behavior that Vitali was doing. Do you really think they're going to let him go? Even his opponents, you know, even the election. No. Vitali, you are a sacrificial lamb. You messed up, honey child. You messed up, baby.
And completely rejected as of date. Further, we don't even know after he serves his sentence where he would go, because both Russia and the U.S. says, hey, we're not accepting him if he's going to be deported. Now, we have confirmed that it appears that he is a Russian citizen, therefore holds a Russian passport, but has a U.S. green card. So it kind of creates a weird situation of like who's going to take Vitali. But we do know one thing. While it's unclear on whom would take him, he will be serving that sentence in a Philippine prison. So he is not going to get special treatment. He's not going to get sent to a cushy prison in the United States or somewhere in Russia. He's going to be serving that in the Philippines, which is where he committed those crimes. Now, what we do have confirmed, and this is something that was confirmed by an article today, which if you want to see that article and dig deeper, check out my live stream. But that is unjust vexation, 3 counts. That is confirmed. So this is stuff that's solid information that we know is going forward. And what's going to happen is prosecutors are going to file an information as of next week. Now, what that does is it locks down Vitali's ability to essentially settle or get this thing to go away. So the time at which he can get this to go away is going to come up next week. His only real options are 2 things, which is which is essentially plead guilty or just sit back and deal with it. So thus far, he has not pled guilty officially. And what that could do is if he pleads guilty, he says he's sorry, he throws himself at the mercy of the court, they may adjudicate him more lightly. That may be what would be called a mitigating circumstance. Mitigating circumstance meaning making it less bad. This is something we talked about in the Somali case. If you're very, very sorry, that tends to go well in most jurisdictions, especially in Asia. If you are genuinely sorry and you say that publicly in front of God and everybody in the court and everything, you come out and say, I am sorry, that is taken as a mitigating circumstance, provided that's a genuine apology.
Here's the problem, okay? Vitali's done stuff like this before. Now look, I'm a simple man, you know. I mean, look, I would love it if the billboards had Heartlands Media live every day, like, you know, and I had people doing cheerleading every single day. I love it too. But see, here's the thing: Vitali, though, when he was promoting his content and channels, he would streak at FIFA games or other events, like most infamously in Dubai. Now, Dubai, okay, I'll get it. You know what? Maybe I would check it out one day, you know, just to say like, hey, a place that I've been to. But you want to know what I would not do? Break any of the goddamn laws or get arrested there, because that's a place in which somebody can go bye-bye. You won't be dead, but ain't nobody going to find you. Or is it that people wonder, where'd he go? What happened? Now, Vitali did apologize, but he kept right back on doing his clownish behavior. And, you know, when you have somebody who says, oh, I'm going to give you money, and then next he's kicking somebody in the balls, it's like, which one is it, buddy? So he could apologize. And see, hold on, Sunny Day says the best apology would be him taking accountability. Like, now go to jail and understand why he has to be there. He messed up during a presidential election. A president did a YouTube reaction video. Can you imagine? Again, and look, I know none of us here are fans of the two-party system, but can you imagine if, I don't know, Bush Jr. or Obama or Trump, probably Trump would do that. Trump would do a YouTube reaction video, or Biden doing a YouTube reaction video. I mean, come on, it would be like, wow. Or Putin doing a YouTube reaction video. It's unheard of, but the president of the Philippines did that, and it was live for the whole country and the whole world to see. I don't think an apology is going to get him out here. Well, let's continue on the rest of what he's saying here. But also, Dr. Nick, I see that you're laughing. And Freddie G says, too late for sorry. Yeah, too late for sorry indeed. Now, Trump would do it, and it would be hilarious. Yes, Trump would do it. Trump Trump would do that. Okay. Yes. Trump would do it. It's not going to debate.
Now, what could that sentence be? So, on the lower end, I've seen the estimates at a couple of months, like 1 to 3 months. Once again, assuming he's convicted on the charges of unjust vexation. On the high end, I've seen 1 year. Obviously, there's a spectrum in between that. It could be land somewhere in the middle. A lot of the false information around the Vitali case has really fallen around the sentencing. I know it's really easy to have clickbait titles that say he's going to go to jail for 1 million years or he's going to get the death sentence, but that's not simply true. It's just false. That's false information. That's a false fact, not a fast fact. By the way, smash a like if you like the fast fact videos. But it's something that I really try to be accurate on this channel. Now, I will say I get the information as it comes in and I do update my coverage, which is why I cover nuisance streamers like Vitali and Somali on an ongoing basis, because a lot of this information is not clear to begin with. And it becomes more clear and articulated as the process proceeds down the line in these legal proceedings. So at this point, we'll be very interested to see if he pleads guilty. And then once again, once we get to the sentencing, how long that is. Now, I know some people you have feelings about justice. And that's what I wanted to speak real quick, because in the comments regarding Vitali, and whether you're a Vitali hater or one of the very, very few Vitali fans, they exist, but they're infinitesimal amount. Or perhaps maybe you're somebody that says, hey, Vitali did something wrong, but he doesn't deserve 1 million years in jail. I think what this comes down to is an understanding of rehabilitative versus restorative justice. And this is a concept I wanted to explain because I think a lot of people understand this without it being articulated, but it's a good point of education for, I think, everybody out there in the chat to get educated on. And that is, in the justice system and in our penal systems, we have really two penal theories. One is restorative justice, the other is rehabilitative. Restorative focuses on the victim. So it's restoring and repairing the harm to the victim. So the victims were hurt, something bad happened. And people feel, and often do, that there needs to be something that a penalty that is assessed to restore that harm. A lot of people consider this old school justice, and indeed, a lot of the classical systems were meant to give restorative justice. However, in some Western jurisdictions, they've had a lot of focus on rehabilitative justice, which is focusing on the offender and positive change. I actually think the best example of this would be Shawshank Redemption. If you've seen the movie Shawshank Redemption, with the rain pouring down, and he comes out of the sewer pipe, and he's cleansed. You're supposed to go through a healing, a catharsis, and wash away that and come out a different person. And one of the big debates that I see in the chat and I see in the comments and I see everywhere else is, which is best? Is one better than the other? Well, that's a cultural thing. And I think that's the most fascinating thing for me as an American attorney looking at other systems, is the weight they put on one versus the other. And it's not to say one is wrong and one is completely wrong and the other one's completely right. I think there's some sort of balance between them where, hey, yeah, if you could change a person, they could come out better. That is a good thing. But at the same time, there's a harm and there needs to be an offset for that harm. So there's some balance to that. I don't think it's all one thing or another, in my personal opinion, but I am very interested to know what you guys think in the chat versus Vitali. Do you?
So we're gonna stop here. And again, everyone, please subscribe to Legal Mindset. He has done phenomenal work, being one of these. I would say he's the spear point of content creators stepping up against these criminal nuisance streamers. And as a lot of you have pointed out in the chat, look, you have a lot of people, who are upset that the YouTube algorithm, the Kick algorithm, the Twitch algorithm would be promoting these criminal nuisance streamers. And look, I think Twitch, Kick, YouTube can really fix this problem, because if they don't, I could see some harsher laws coming into effect impacting all of us content creators. And we have to stand up against these bullies, these bad guys who are harassing people. Imagine if that was your mom, your sister, your aunt, your niece, your daughter, your granddaughter being harassed by somebody like Johnny Somali or Vitali or Ice Poseidon or something of that nature. You wouldn't like it if somebody walked in your backyard, and imagine you're outside, you're inside your house drinking a cup of coffee, looking at the beautiful day, and you see some stranger in your backyard. Then they drop chow and take a dump. Nah, what I expect out of you, my audience, is to grab a baseball bat or some kind of thing and regulate on that MFer. And that's what we got to do for these criminal nuisance streamers. Now, Russia and the USA have officially said this to Vitaly. Okay? And I don't know how he's going to get out of it. Let's say he's really sorry. That's fine. If he's really genuine, maybe it's less time for him behind bars, but he's not going to have an easy time out. And this should serve as a severe lesson to these criminal nuisance streamers. The show's over. Fun time's over. Do something more constructive. You know, you could be a Vitali and be behind, or Johnny Somali, and suffer legal consequence in another country, and the U.S. Embassy or Russian Embassy ain't going to help you. Or you could be a good content creator. You could be like Hardlands Media or Eric Cabarrus with Unlock the Philippines or Legal Mindset. You could do some good things, people. Do some good things. Do good. But as for Vitali, in a week, we'll find out what he looks like. And you know something? I actually, because at the end of the day, he is a human being. I know. But even I am going to have a sense, just a small sense of pity. Because being in the Filipino jail, I've seen the pictures. I've seen the documentaries. To quote Donald Trump, it's not good. Believe me, not good.